Well, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a change up. I want to just feel a little bit more summery, or a little bit at least warmer weather. So I'm going to do a desert scene. The photo I'm working from is from Sedona, Arizona, and has some really wonderful rock formations, a little bit of water even, and some cactuses in the foreground. Just great warm colors in general, so I think that it'll be a good change of pace. Yeah, just looking to switch up my color palette, and do something a little bit different. So I'm gonna be working on canvas today. I've just been kind of on a canvas kick. Sometimes with rocks, I like to do working on a board just to get it a little bit sharper, but I feel like, I don't know, going with canvas today. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm just going to get into it, and I'll share the process as I go. So for the background on this one, I'm going to start by mixing up probably just a little bit of cobalt and white, and I'm going to do, this isn't going to be a very sort of wet on wet painting. I'm going to do a first layer that's going to probably dry fairly quickly so that I can keep a lot of the other details sharp. That's the plan anyway. So start with, I'm going to use some cobalt and some titanium white, and see if I can get that to about the right place. Maybe take a little phthalo too. See about where that goes. That's pretty nice. Maybe I was probably gonna make up a little bit more though. Just trying to mix this really thoroughly so I can see the color. I'm gonna go a little more white. And I'm gonna fill the whole background with this, which will cover my sky and also my water reflection. Some of the other areas, it's probably not quite as critical, but, and actually I may do the second tone for some of them. Yeah, let's actually do that. So I'm also gonna do a purple tone that's going to be a little bit darker, with some alizarin and phthalo, and I'm going to use that to block in some of the areas with the rock formations. That will be my sort of wet layer behind those. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this lavender spike. A few drops there, a few drops there. I've been really enjoying reading all of your questions coming in on the Q&A post. So if you haven't put anything in there and you have a question for me that might be longer than I can normally reply in a comment, it's a good spot for it. I've been having to kind of like hold back from wanting to reply to them early, but I will hopefully be putting something together for that soon. Good. That's gonna work just fine. Maybe. I think I got it. A little darker because I got some of that purple mixed in. That's what happens if I get too many different things going on at the same time. Just lighten it up a little bit more. I think that'll do. Something I like about painting is, in general, it's pretty good to just focus on one thing. Kind of helps me quiet out anything else that might be going on in here. Okay. That looks pretty good. Put that aside for now. Grab a brush. Actually pour a little bit of this into my little jar too. Sometimes it's good to just be able to touch the bristles off like that. Okay. Maybe feels a little bit, that actually seems a little bit dark still. I'm gonna get a little bit lighter before I fill up the whole thing that way. Sometimes until you get sort of all your values out, it's hard to know exactly how things are going to relate to each other too. So might be overthinking it. Sometimes that's why I like to adjust skies later. Give that a shot. Really worrying about where these rock formations are going to be. Just kind of using this opportunity to see them anyway. This doesn't have to be perfect by any means. Maybe if I dressed a little summery, it would feel a little bit warmer. So this shirt hasn't been in the rotation for a little bit. Just kind of scrubbing these shapes in here. That's pretty good. Let's see. And switch over here and start working in some of these darker areas. Again, I'm gonna come in with a knife and I'll get these all a lot more refined, but right now I'm just kind of getting some edges in place. Some level, it's just about kind of getting a first coat on to fill in the canvas too. So I don't want to have all those white squares showing through. Okay. So kind of want like a middle tone here. These are a little bit further away. They don't, even their sort of darkest area doesn't have quite as much depth as or quite as much of a value shift, I guess, really. A little bit more. This area in the middle here, this kind of could be a little mix of both, I think. Probably just do that. It's kind of a fun way to find a way around a painting. Okay. So, got a little reflection here. Put in some of these little contours. Probably best to save the rest for the knife, but I'll just do a little bit more filling in up here. Just because I see a little bit of this weave coming through. A little bit of ozone here. I'll frame up this water a bit more, but let it be kind of soft for now. The edge will be easy to put in later, but the sort of fade here will be more difficult. So just let that sort of be there for now. All right. Clean out this brush. So I'm gonna mix up some more colors. So I think I'm gonna start by kind of working from dark to light. So I'm gonna start with a kind of similar deep purple blue color. And sort of bring in some of those details a bit sharper than what I have right now. So I'll mix that up with a knife, and then I'll probably just start kind of working across the whole image with it anywhere I see the tone like that. And just kind of generally get everything a bit more crisp as I go. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to bring in a little bit more blue here with my knife. This isn't really for this edge so much as just seeing this opportunity to fill this in a little better. Didn't want to get the paint really thick right here, but I don't want to be missing it either. Okay. Since it's all one color, it's a pretty basic sky. I don't have to really worry about it getting too mixed up. All right. Okay. All right, so my dark purple. So I'll do alizarin, phthalo. Start there. Just letting the knife drift in here and create the shapes that I see here. I like to be somewhat accurate to what I see. So, I know I can go in and get the highlights in, so I'm not worrying about getting this extremely smooth, but I'm also okay if I cover some areas a little darker than I ultimately want them right now. Actually, I'm gonna bring in a little bit more sky over here. good. It is interesting how different formations are. They require different painting techniques too. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of doing my usual thing, but having to think about it a little bit more just because I don't normally paint this sort of scene. This is going to be one that as soon as I get to start putting in kind of my warmer colors and highlights, it's going to be pretty dramatic change. It's going to look a little bit drab for a while, I think. We'll see. So I'm taking a little bit of that dark and mixing it into my blue color that I started with for the sky. I'm going to put in some of my sort of shadows on this side that aren't quite as dark. Seeing these shadows and angles. Some of these are triangles. Some of them are little lines. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to bring the sky in a little bit more on that. I try to give myself options to adjust things later. That way I don't have to get anything exactly right in one shot. It's nice when you do, but more often it's good to, at least for me, I like to have a way to adjust. So let's see, a little bit more of this sort of darker color here. Got this sort of slope. I do like how the paint's sort of breaking across the surface a little bit, so it's not like it's all going on totally flat in one color. And I can kind of use that to put in these shapes of all the stone and sand, clay. So many good colors for clay. It's gonna be fun once I build it up, but for now, I'll just keep going like this. These little tracks and trails here. You get my sort of reflection shaping here too. Same process really, it's just upside down. Going just a little bit lighter. Sometimes the reflections will look darker, sometimes they'll look lighter. It really just depends on the lighting and maybe how the photo gets exposed, I don't know. But just kind of look at it and make a call. I'll try and keep this reflection pretty sharp because the water is extremely still and glassy looking. It's kind of can be difficult, but it's one of my favorite sort of styles of water to paint actually. It's easier when it's got a little bit of texture to it though, and you can just kind of make the waves happen, so we shall see. But I'm just trying to get this kind of shape for what the edge is going to look like here. I think it's kind of close. I've now drawn it a few times. Each time it probably has gotten a little bit closer. Here, I'm gonna just warm up a little bit. I'm gonna take a little alizarin, a little bit of cad red light, and I mix that into the purple color that I had. And I'm just seeing kind of as I get around this water line, it's lightening up a little bit. Still staying dark though. Getting a little bit warmer. A little bit. So I want this edge to have a little bit of a wobble to it, but I don't want it to be too kind of jagged looking. kind of trying to put the right amount of paint on that it fills in somewhat flat. There we go. It's a little better. Actually, I'm gonna keep going. Do the same thing over here. I'll come over some of this with the lighter color once I bring that in. I think it will be good in the meantime. Go back to this edge over here. I'm going back to kind of my original dark color. I'm also going to let this side be a little bit rougher. I think it's a little bit less clear. Just kind of smoothing this a little bit. I don't want it to look totally flat. I don't want it to be catching a ton of light either. Start working in these cactus bits. It's pretty cool. Okay. Again, mostly sticking to the shadows so far. Looking at shapes, trying to get them the right look. These are kind of like these flat, sort of paddle shaped. A little bit more of that. Maybe you can pop just a little green into it this time. This I'm just looking. Really just trying to concentrate on the shapes. This is a pretty complicated form altogether, and I want it to set the scene, but I don't actually want it to be like the focal point. So I like that it kind of leads you in. But I don't want to get bogged down in like painting every single detail on it either. If I tried to, I'd definitely get very bogged down in that. So just doing a little. Okay. Ooh, more blue there. Okay, I'm gonna brush this out a little bit just because it's feeling a little thick, and I kind of want my highlights to be a little bit sharper. So, maybe this brush. So, I don't know. I don't promise it'll work. Just promise I'm doing it anyway. I do find when I'm working on a board, it's a little bit easier to stay a little thin, even with like a knife application. When I'm with a brush, or with them on canvas, it tends to build up a little thicker because you've got the weave to deal with, and then you also have like, trying to get enough paint on, show your colors and such. It tends to sometimes just build up a little thick for me. So do that. It's also a good opportunity to work some of these lines in here. Just get a nice feel. I've never really been to a climate like this, so I don't have a lot of like personal experience. I imagine it's like pretty amazing though. I like to do. Definitely painting makes me want to travel more. See more different places. fun. Wash that out and go back to my knife. I'm trying to remember to sort of scrub my brush out first before I dunk it in the cleaner. That way I don't get quite as much in there. Start mixing up a kind of clay color, I think. Make some space on my palette before I do that. Just because now I'm going to be switching to some warmer colors. There we go. If it turns out that this still looks like it's going to be too muddy, then I'll probably let it dry up a bit before I try to put my warm tones in. But we'll see. Grab a little bit of burnt sienna, yellow ochre. Start there. And I think I'm going to go even a little cad red light. Maybe even a little bit more of that. I'll just kind of swish it off to a separate pile for a minute. It's a little intense. Could almost go. I think I'm going to pick a little bit of alizarin in with all of this. Alizarin's a little bit, it's a kind of cool red because it has a little bit of blue to it, so it's almost a purple already. Say it's going to be so intense no matter what I do. Let's see. Start there. Start in some of these areas where I think are going to be among the brightest. This will mix, it's mixing in a little bit anyway, so if I'm kind of overshooting it, I'm alright with that for now. need to go a little bit lighter. Just grabbing a little bit of white here. That's a little too much though. Maybe about like that. I'm looking at how this land feels like it's formed. Little kind of cutaway. Oh, too much white there. There we go. White does work well even if you go a little over. If you kind of just go back over it with the color that you want, it'll kind of help it pop out. Letting this color be a little more ragged over here. Starting to light up. It's kind of the part I was looking forward to. It's not so different than my snow scenes. I am doing kind of that's ultimately like an orange blue painting in the way that I think of it anyway. Just kind of popping those in there. Little shapes as they seem to appear. There we go. Yeah, see that little, once you get those right, that sort of purple shadow and orange stones, sort of blending one across the other. It's pretty satisfying. I said I was going to bring in some more sky up here. I gotta still remember to do it. Mix up a little bit more of that. I think I can go. Even a little blue in this one. Bring it just a little darker. Because I put the vertical brush strokes in, I'm going kind of horizontally with the knife, and it's catching the detail in a really nice way, actually. Kind of moving back and forth through these different piles too, so that I'm got a little bit more variation in here. Not getting everything the exact same shape, the same color. Too much there. Like that. It's kind of leaving this pretty rough in that area. And kind of similar thing here. Kind of a cooler highlight here, so I just threw a little cobalt in. So it relates a little bit more to this water too. Let's see. It's kind of coming along. I want to put in a little bit more. This doesn't have to be quite as sharp, but kind of match in these highlights and the reflection as well. Looking pretty good. It's kind of nice. I think I'm gonna try and mix up some of these kind of very gray greens. I'm just gonna actually use this pile of mud that I've got going on here and start mixing up some of these cactus colors that I want to start popping in. That's a pretty good one. All of these are slightly different colors. I've got that sort of shadow color knocked in there, which is helping me. Kind of works as an outline as much as it is the shadow color itself. It can kind of do both. I've got some pretty highlights on these that I'll kind of use to frame them in once I have more of the darks laid in. So I'm going to kind of a blue teal. So I'm going to take a little viridian, a little yellow ochre, start mixing up a more middle green. Maybe even a little too light. Let's do that. Maybe a little alizarin. It's looking about right. Where else do I have a little bit of this? I was thinking about switching to a different knife, but kind of feeling like this is the language of this painting now, and so even though this might not be my favorite option for doing these rounded shapes, I'm kind of try and make it work for a bit. I may sneak in and do some other things, but to start with, I'm trying to stick to one thing for the look. So I'm getting a little bit warmer, getting a little bit brighter as I see these colors shifting, kind of just keeping to fill in. I have to put in some spikes on these at some point too. That's going to be different. Okay. Take a little bit of this cad red light even. I'm mixing it in with a little bit of this green, kind of a light green. It's starting to kind of work a shadow or a lit edge onto this one here. It's a tricky color and a tricky shape. Kind of coming along. Wasn't probably this cactus formation was the part of this that I was the most nervous about doing. Because there's so many different things going on. A lot of different light. Okay, and here, get a big bright area. It's funny though, if you stick to it, it does start to just take shape. Getting a little clumsy, maybe. There we go. A little bit more yellow ochre. Building these up a little bit at a time. figure out how to do these little dots on them. I don't quite know how to do those. Take a little bit of raw umber, a little bit of this cad red light, and put them both on my knife at the same time and try and create that pattern. Now, let's see. That kind of works if I drag it up a little bit. Probably the more I can get like a geometric pattern, the better. But doing my best with it. First cactus painting. I think I'm gonna let this one rest a little bit. I need a little bit of a break. I'll come back and do a little bit more. Just sort of clean up some things and maybe add a little bit more detail here and there. But yeah, all right. I'll be back in a few. All right, and I'm back. Let's see. It's looking pretty good. I want to do a little bit of cleanup. Just some things that they might look okay to you, but I'm hoping that I can make them look a little bit better when you see the painting close up. Mostly have to do with this kind of skyline here, just sharpening up a little bit. And I also want to I want to work on this like reflection a little bit too. This water line. Possibly add a little bit more detail to the cacti. I realized I said that wrong in the first half. It's cactuses? Cacti? I think it's cacti. One way or another, I'm sure someone will tell me. So I'm gonna mix up some paint. I'm gonna go with kind of a light blue to start, and I'm gonna start putting that in some different areas, just to kind of crisp up some of those edges. Yeah, and then I'll just kind of work into a little bit and see where I go from there. I don't feel like this one's too far away. So get out a little bit more white. Shouldn't need too much, but it's good to have it fresh. Okay. And then I'm gonna go kind of more white and a little bit of cobalt to start. And actually thinking about Let's even be maybe a little bit warmer. There's a little bit, it's almost like a little hint of some clouds down here, kind of setting up this sort of sunset light. So I'm going to even go almost a tiny bit pink. So I'm going to throw in just a little bit of this cad red light. Let's see. Maybe a little alizarin. Probably could have used some magenta in this painting, but it's a little bit late now to add it in. So I think I'm going to leave that out. Let's see. So keep a little bit of that. And I do want a lighter and a bluer version of this as well. And even bluer one actually. Oop, that's a lot of blue though. More than I needed. Okay. Just kind of mixing up a little progression that I can use here. Grab a little of this and that. Okay. I don't think this very pink stuff I'm not going to use. I think about there is about right though. Okay. Switch to this little knife here to put just a little bit of thinner in. The previous layer is rather dry at this point, so it isn't really in danger of this really, but I just want this to go on somewhat smooth, not too thick. Going a little bit lighter. I think that good feeling about that. Just gives me a little bit of opportunity to shape this line a little bit better. Gives me space to kind of create that cloud. Go a little bit even more pink here. We'll go too pink though. Found in my last painting I went back into the sky kind of late in the same way, but then I brushed it out and I thought it worked out pretty well. I may kind of do the same thing here. This side it's not quite as dramatically lit at this edge. So just kind of working it the same way though. Looking at the shape of this top of this ridge. It's a little bit more crisp. Like sometimes you want your landforms to kind of fade away, and sometimes you really want them to sort of pop out. And I feel like in this situation, we really want all the drama that this has in it. It's pretty amazing. A bit messy. Come on. Not making that better. I have to scrape that off. A little bit of thick paint there that I picked up with the edge of the knife. Be careful. There we go. Moving around there a little bit better. Keep a steady hand as I mess that up. Nothing perfect here. But try and get in there. Just like great like peak kind of jutting up in here. We want to get it right. Let's see. Move on from there for a minute. I'm going to come back to it, I think, but just want to get the rest of this. Obviously, it's ideal if you can get these things all the way you want them immediately, but I feel like most of us humans aren't probably gonna pull that off. I don't know. Some people do. I'm bringing it's a little bit of rock that's kind of sticking up here. I'm leaving a spot for that to kind of bring it up. Let's see. There we go. Smoothing this out a little bit. Good, okay. Put in some of start kind of mixing up a color that will help this kind of progress more into the sort of base color that I've got laid onto the sky. Let's see that. It's kind of in between. It's a little, maybe even a little dark. I'm gonna take a little of this white pink and kind of work that into. Okay. Pretty good feel. Keep going. I probably could go to a bigger knife right now, actually. Especially since I'm trying to fill in a larger area. Okay. Yeah, let's see about that. The sky also gets a little bit brighter on the right-hand side now that I'm really kind of getting into it. I'm gonna put a little bit of phthalo, a little bit of cobalt, some white. Just go for a slightly more vibrant side over here. Yeah, really lighten it up now. My guess is the sun's setting kind of over here somehow, so it's not really in view, but just outside of it. Center of this. Probably put a little bit more paint on and then I'm gonna brush it out. I don't think I need this to be extremely thick. Just want to have a good range so that it's not totally flat looking. Just get that sort of lit up feeling. I think I went a little dark on this originally, but actually didn't work out badly. See what we get if I brush it a little bit. Okay, it's actually nice. It's like a good sort of blend of the two. Because the paint's still pretty thick, it holds a lot of that knife texture, but doesn't sort of overwhelm it either. I don't want this sky to be stealing the show, really. I'm doing some different brush angles here. Catching a little bit of lumps here that I didn't really want, but these things do happen. There's the bristles in here too. All right. It's funny once. Really, I go into museums if well, not like that often, but when I've like noticed bristles in paintings. It drives me crazy, but it also makes me feel like, you know what, it happens. And I don't know if that's in the varnishing and restoration that I've seen them, but like now I've got an eye for them, and I notice the bristles. Pretty good. I still feel like there's a little area over here that is not quite the way I want it. I'm just scraping that back because I want to have the opportunity to cover it again fresh. So just kind of recreating the color that I want to see there. A little better. Sometimes I feel like the more careful you are, at least, again, I only ever speak for myself, the more careful you are, like, at being timid, almost like makes you shakier. It's for me. Sometimes the more I try, the more I make a mess of something. So, try to just do it quick. Do it quick. Alright. That's about right. I think we're in the right spot now. Let's see. Feeling pretty good about that sky though. I think I'm tempted to light it up just a little bit more. Add a little bit of white into this sort of pink mixture that I have. Kind of dash it in here. Create these little wispy clouds, I see. It's very nice. Just brush it out a little bit. There we go. That's nice. I like that. Okay. It's a good kind of in between, not too blended, but a little bit soft. Okay. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of these colors that I've been working with and work on this waterline a little bit. It's kind of to me had kind of the same issue as the top of the mountains did. It's just that it like felt like it didn't have quite enough light on it. as I'm seeing some just little flecks of light that are kind of the same, kind of playing out down here on these cactus spikes. Some of them anyway. So I'm just kind of grabbing a little bit, bringing that. I use kind of my sky colors as a highlight color a lot. It's kind of always a quick and good look. And it makes sense if you think about it. Trying to get too far off track into that. Yeah. Probably blend this out with a brush very carefully. You know, maybe I can pull it off with just a knife. It's a tight spot. There we go. Bringing in a little bit of this pink. The more that you can kind of bring your sky colors into the water, it just really makes it kind of magic. Okay. That's pretty good. I'm gonna see. Take this brush and just soften this edge a little bit. I don't think I need to repaint the whole water despite how tempting it is sometimes. kind of making this sort of X shape just to sort of blend this all through here. I want to blend it, but I don't want it to get overly I guess I don't want it to all look the same color. I kind of want to make sure I'm keeping kind of an adjustment here from the top to the bottom. So it's not all one thing. Time to stop fussing. I think that's pretty good. Let's see. Let's step back for a minute, take a look and see what I think from a few feet away. So, if I wanted to mess with the water just a little bit more, the other thing I'm doing is I'm seeing that I've got this very glassy area here where it's all about the reflections. As I get a little bit closer, and this is pretty common, there's a lot of actually seeing through the water down into the soil that's below here, so it's kind of becomes more similar in tone, and I can actually see a little bit of this texture sort of through the water. And I don't know if it's strictly necessary, but I'm tempted to do just a little bit with that too. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit of a purple color, the alizarin, a little phthalo. Keep it more toward the alizarin side. I'm gonna put a little bit of white, just not quite totally dark. It's gonna be a little bit similar to the color that's already here. I want to just kind of give it that texture of being more similar to this. Just a little bit. Maybe a little bit even more alizarin. A little more phthalo. Have a couple different tones playing in here, and then I'm gonna actually smooth those out again. So I'm not gonna leave them completely rough, but I'm gonna let them kind of transition in here. A little bit even in here too. These are really faint things, like I'm probably over-representing them, but the choice I get to make. It's kind of the same idea as how I did those clouds up here, where they're there. You could have just made it a blank sky, and probably that would be fine too. But I kind of like the idea of having this water sort of transition. I always love those, like that point where it goes from a mirror to like glass where you can see through. So that's what I'm messing with anyway. So I'm gonna take that. Scrub this brush off just a little bit. I'm gonna brush this out a little bit, kind of across the water here. Probably a more appropriate brush for this, but I'm not totally sure what that would be, so I'm just gonna work with what's in my hand. that's about right. Take this knife, just cut this edge in a little bit here. Really happy with that. I think the last thing I want to do is just spruce up these cacti a little bit. So, take just a little cad yellow, a little bit of my titanium white. Maybe make a slightly adjusted version that is more yellow ochre. Start with the yellow ochre one. The cad yellow one is going to be very bright, but I think that it's going to work. It's going to work well in a few spots. So I'm just taking this little knife and putting these spikes on now. Little knife actually even feels a little big for this, but I think it's gonna look pretty cool. So this is definitely the thing that you want to do last. Let's get all these little spikes going over some more delicate areas. I wouldn't want to be messing with the water, for instance, again after I do this. So I end up with all this yellow mixing in. These aren't exact or anything, they're just kind of, I'm trying to put them in the right overall like sort of directions that they're pointing, but go in actually quite a lot of different directions there. It's kind of a geometric pattern though, so there's like a lot of kind of parallel lines, or I don't know, radial lines maybe. It's actually more true. They seem like they're kind of like spokes on a wheel, kind of. There we go. Looking pretty good, I think. Yeah, I think I like it. I think that's about right. So, well, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're off to next.